In this video, we'll figure out why the same prompt can give you different answers. To understand why, we need to talk about sampling, the dial that picks a single token from a whole list of candidates. First, let's see what sampling actually does by default. At every step, the model gives a score to every word it knows. Most are basically 0, only a handful have real weight. Then it draws one at random, weighted by those scores, so the likelier words come up more often. Matt wins most of the time, but not always, and that little bit of chance is where all the interesting behavior begins. Now let's look at the settings that shape how that draw happens. They split into two kinds. Some reshape the weights themselves, while others act more like filters that just trim which candidates survive. So let's go through them one at a time, starting with temperature. Temperature reshapes the weights themselves. It decides whether the model plays it safe or takes risks. At 0, it always grabs the single most likely token. That's what's called greedy decoding. The cat sat on the mat every single time. Turn it up to 1, and you get the model's natural balance. Sometimes the mat, sometimes the floor, sometimes the chair. Push it all the way to 1.5, and even unlikely words get a real shot. So, keep it low when you want consistency, like code. Turn it up when you want variety, like creative writing. Now, the second setting is top K, the first of our filters. It doesn't change the relative odds between words. It just keeps the top few candidates and drops the rest. At K equals 10, every word stays. Drop it to 5, and only the 5 most likely survive. The long tail is gone. And notice the survivors grow to fill the gap. That's renormalization. What's left is rescaled so it still adds up to 1. Drop it to 2, and you're left with just the strongest pair. That fixed number doesn't care about the shape of the distribution. It cuts the same way whether the model is certain or unsure. Another filter is top P, the smarter cousin. Instead of a fixed count, it follows the probability itself. Set P to 0.9, and it keeps just enough candidates to cover 90% of the weight. Bring it down to 0.5, and it gets strict. Only the most likely survive, then they're renormalized. Push it close to 1, and almost everything comes back in. The cutoff adapts to the shape of each moment. And the last filter is min-p. It works the other way around. It sets a floor relative to the strongest word, and drops anything weaker than that. Strong candidates stay. The weak ones are gone. And because the floor scales with the strongest word, it stays strict when the model is confident, and eases off when it isn't. You can use just one of these on its own, but combine them and you get real control over how the model behaves. Say you want precise, predictable output like code. You'd keep the temperature low and tighten top P. The distribution collapses down onto the safe answers with almost no surprises. Or say you want something creative, without tipping into nonsense. You'd push the temperature up for range, then bring in min-p to trim the junk that the heat let through. The result stays surprising, but it still makes sense. And that combination is the whole reason min-p exists. There's one last trick. Left alone, a model can get stuck repeating itself, looping on the same word, especially at low temperature. Penalties fix that. Once a word is used, its score gets pushed down, so the model moves on to something fresh. Repetition and frequency penalties grow with each repeat. A presence penalty just docks a word once. Small touches, but they keep the writing from going in circles. And now you understand the basics of sampling. One distribution, many possible answers, and a handful of settings that decide which one you actually get. That's why the very same prompt can surprise you every time. Next up, context windows. How much the model can really see at once.